Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lemont Weber, and we have a very distinguished guest, a dear friend and colleague, and one of the outstanding uh, researchers, authors of Europe, Rafael Palacios, who's known as Rafapal, who's coming to us from Madrid, Spain. Welcome, Rafa.
Good to see you, and good sorry, start again.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
have a trouble.
No, sure. Welcome, Rafa.
Yes, I'm very glad to be here, and very glad because I want to tell some things related with my newest book, Hollywood Secret History, that very sad that it's only in Spanish, but I think that most of English speakers are going to be very delighted with the information I have.
Yeah. So we'll be getting into more deeply into the secret history of Hollywood that you've documented in this new book. What got you interested in this area?
Well, in fact, it was my own experience. All this book, in fact, emerged. It's created out of a sad story, and a story with a girl 15 years ago, in which she was, this kind of a story of more than friends, girl and boy, for a story for 20 years, in which in the moment in which this girl was in love with me, after me myself being in love with her for a long time, I was in the position of telling her some things, and I was blocked, without words to say. And in that precise moment, she and I were very fans of Woody Allen's films, and in this precise moment,
of
Woody Allen,
who?
Woody Allen,
Sorry.
Woody Allen
Okay.
films.
Yeah.
We were fans of Woody Allen's.
Okay.
And in that precise moment, I wanted an scripture to tell me the words I needed. So that in that precise moment, I realized how I was influenced by films in order that I not being able to say, the words I feel it, but thinking on a film, on what was the reaction in a Woody Allen film in my precise situation, So that from that moment, 15 years ago, I was thinking on researching the influence and the movies has in our lives. Above all, in last century, but as long as we are now in 2014, and the influence is very related. I cover till the moment of last year. That was the moment in which I finished the book.
Right. You also turned to the book after December 21st to 2012, correct? Where you had some kind of a realization.
Well, more than a realization, it was a sadness, some kind of depression, because I was thinking that something was going to happen in this precise date on 21st of December. And as long as nothing really happened, apparently, I decided to close myself into my apartment for 6 months, and I was there watching hundreds of movies, and my selection was focused not because of the artistic theme, thinking about this great director that is doing artistic film, but the films that were more influenced more in the people, the big boss, the films that made money, And so that I watched a lot of films of Gone with the Wind, seven, how do you say in English? Siete novias para siete hermanos,
Seven,
seven.
seven wives for seven brothers, or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. The big films about from Katharine Hepburn,
Yeah.
Spencer Tracy, Cary Grant, till the moment Steven Spielberg, Hitchcock, of course Kubrick, the big ones.
Right. Right. And how what does your book, The Secret History of Hollywood, what were some of your findings? What are the
Okay,
secrets that you reveal here?
okay. First of all, it's a view about how the things that has happened in last century, and the characters, the tendencies, and even big things were correlated between cinema and films. I can give you, for instance, a few examples of my discoveries that are mine in the sense that, I have researched a lot of others' findings. For instance, with Stanley Kubrick, Jay Burnett is a very good researcher. I have read it and watched a lot of videos of somebody's researches, but there are
Right.
some of them that are properly mine, and I
Right.
am very, very proud of what I discovered, for instance, with this beautiful movie of Audrey Hepburn called Holidays in Rome. Maybe
Right.
you remember, no?
Yeah.
With Gregory Peck. I
Yes.
was in love with Audrey Hepburn. I love it. This girl. But my side was, watching the films from the outside, not being
Yes.
involved, with the film, watching, as a researcher.
Yeah.
Holidays in Rome is made in 1953, and it's the
Right.
story of a princess, an English princess, that goes on a tour around Europe, promoting, and this is the important thing, the European Federation.
I see.
Alfred, 1953, Rome, a girl, a princess that at that time she was very, very important. This actress. I think we have a problem with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me see.
Suddenly your lights went off there.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. It's
Now
better.
it's
Yeah.
okay. So that Audrey Hepburn is a princess. She went out one night in Rome. Then she met Gregory Peck, that is an American journalist. They fell in love just for one day, like in Cinderella. No, the movie is not
Right.
the love is going to be impossible, and then at the end you've got this impossible romance between the English princess and the American journalist in Rome. And the
Right.
latest words she's pronouncing is a very sweet speech about how the wars are going to be far whenever there is a union in Europe. So
Right.
that, are you following me?
Yes. Yes.
Four
So.
years later, 4 years later, it was created the European Union.
Right.
Where? In Rome.
Right.
So that Holidays in Rome was a propaganda act for the European Union.
Right. Right.
And this, I think, nobody has watched the film as I did it. And for me, it was a very, very successful. I felt that I was in the right way, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have more.
Right. And I could I make a comment and just ask you a
Yes,
question on that comment?
yes, of
Because
course.
I think that you're absolutely right. Also in 1953 at Rome, that was right after the first Bilderberger meeting, with the Dutch monarchy and the British monarchy, and they wanted to have depopulation, but they called for, but they wanted to make propaganda for population control. So they created the Club of Rome. And
That's
in
it. That's it.
1953, they announced the
Uh,
Club of Rome for population control, but that was just propaganda for what they're doing now to try to bring the population down to 500 million.
you are right, my friend. And
Yeah.
one more data. Do you know who the scripture of Holidays in Rome was?
Tell me.
Trumbo.
Dalton
Dalton Trumbo.
Trumbo. Wow.
Dalton Trumbo was one of the prosecuted by Senator John McCarthy in the Caza de Brujas, the witch hunter in
Yeah.
the 50s. So he was put a part of the Hollywood, but he was following working in the cinema area, but with another nickname. Okay, and as long as we are talking about Dalton Trumbo, there is another script by Dalton Trumbo that is Spartaco, one
Aha.
of my favorite films, Stanley Kubrick's. Okay, so I watched Spartaco that as I said, is it's marvelous. No, it's an epic film about freedom.
Yeah.
I used to love this film, and I even now love it. But the thing is that what's the script about the Spartaco? Okay, there is a rebellion of these slaves. Remember, for sure.
Right.
And then at what in a scene, they are up to go outside Italy because they have made a pact, an agreement with some pirates, and then something happened in the Roman Senate. There is a class and a struggle between Grasso and the other one, Graco, and I don't remember which one was in each part. I think it was Grasso who wanted to establish a totalitarian state, a triunvirato, what is how it's called in Spanish, and so that Grasso buys the pirates in order to not let the slaves go away from Italy, so that it makes them to go after Rome, so that this terrible threat to the Republic creates the possibility of creating a dictatorship, a triumvirate. So, what Spartaco was? A gladiator. In which year was produced in Italy, and Gladio was the operation. Most of the people who are watching us now knows perfectly about Gladio operation. That is, an operation by the NATO to create this Orwellian state in order to provoke this dictatorship, creating attacks, terrorist attacks. So that my point is that Stanley Kubrick was anticipating this terrorist thing, because we know for sure that Stanley Kubrick was in the know of many things in the deep politics. So that I think that I have expressed myself correctly. Have you understood?
Yes.
You know
Yes.
the connection?
Yes. Yes. The only thing is that
Gladiator.
Yes.
Spartaco, that at the same time is a name used by the Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt name was Spartacus. So that Stanley Kubrick was anticipating and sending us a message about what the secret government was going to make out of the terrorist attacks.
Right. And what year was Spartacus, the movie, released or made?
I think I don't have this data
fine.
now, but 1960, 1961,
Okay,
something like that.
60, 61. Yeah, good.
The years in which this leftist terrorism started.
Right.
But if we can follow with Stanley Kubrick, many people knows about, the cryptic messages that are hidden in 2001, for instance, and it's very famous also the film Jack Nicholson Signing.
Yeah. Could you just repeat that with regard to 2001 and with regard to The Shining?
Well, uh, most people knows because there is a man called Jay Biernet that has decodified some of the Kubrick's films. That in the film 2001 he used the techniques, the technology that a year later he used it to fake the moon hallucination. How do you say in English? When the USA got to the moon,
Right.
it was Kubrick who did it, and he used the same techniques and the same technologies in his film 2001 that was published 1 year before. And if you see how he managed to show how an astronaut is going to walk in a different planet, is this quite the same thing as in this 1969 thing, that it was televised
In the moon landing, the faked moon
on
landing.
land.
Yeah.
Okay. And about The Shining is very interesting because many people knows that this film is based on a Stephen King novel, but he changed it a lot of the in his script in order to show people, because he himself, Kubrick, felt in the same way. He was involved in these secret societies, as he portrayed in his latest film, Eyes Wide Shut. That is,
Yeah.
many people knows this. That it was his latest attempt to show the Illuminati, and in The Shining, he shows some clues for anyone who wants to pick it up. For instance, the kid, the Jack Nicholson's son, he appears with a jersey in which appeared the name Apollo 11, showing, something for anyone who wants to get it, that he was the real one who made this fake moon landing. But these informations, and there are somebody is quite known. Maybe you didn't know it, but it's quite known in the internet. It's more new. What I want to tell you about the Clockwork Orange,
Right.
Clockwork Orange, it's a cult movie. There are a lot of people who, this how the elite is picking up teenagers and converting them into these gangs that we're going to create. Are you watching me?
Yes, yes, you're there. Okay, so we had a bit of a communication difficulty with Clockwork Orange. Could you tell us that again, and we'll get through these communications difficulties as best we can.
Okay. The thing is that Clockwork Orange is very famous because it's considered a cult movie. There are a lot of intellectuals, these people who are in the known about cinema, that thinks that it's very interesting movie. But in fact, they have not understood what Stanley Kubrick wanted to show around this strange movie. Clockwork Orange, it's a movie about Enki Ultra. The principal character, Alex, it's a teenager uh, who has suffered sexual abuse. Alfred, this is very important. There is an scene in which it shows Alex with this social.
Now, you were talking about Clockwork Orange as being a particular film that had a great deal of revelations in it. Could you share that with us?
Yes, of course. First of all, we have to put the film in the year was made, 1971. Okay, 2 years after the hippies revolution, we are in England, and this movie, created a big cultural movement. It was forbidden for some time to put it in television.
Now,
Okay.
now you've spoken about you've written about Clockwork Orange in your book, The Secret Hollywood. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, first of all, we have to put this film in the year it was made, 1971, 2 years after the hippies revolution. We are in England, not in the USA, because Kubrick was American, but he was producing his films in England with a total freedom, something very strange for any other directors. So that Clockwork Orange is considered a cult movie because of the artistic theme around Kubrick. It's a very strange film in the way that, the kind of filming of the scenes and the mix with the music is, is not the kind of films even now it's usual. But the important thing about Clockwork Orange is around the topic of NQ Ultra. The principal character, Alex, is a youngster that joins a band that wanted to beat homeless, in the way that later in the 80s and 90s should be normal, but at that time was not normal at all. And there is a definitive scene in which Kubrick shows this Alex, this very conflictive youngster, and it appears that he has suffered sexual abuse by a social worker. So that what Kubrick wanted to express through this film is that these violent youngsters were created by these structures of sexual abuse. And then after that, he was put in a psychiatric, and he passed through a process of the compartmentalization of his brain. They create another personality through the use of pills that is completely MK Ultra. And after that, he refreshed himself. He converted into another person, a very pacific person. And that, in my point of view, it's a way of Kubrick wanted to show how the hippies movement was created. And the thing is that he shows the proofs because after that, Alex, the main character, is beaten by his all buddies, so that he was expressing with this radical movie, A Clockwork Orange, that the secret government was going to develop these gangs that, for instance, around the hooligans in the football were created precisely in England a few years later. And not only that, he was expressing that with this violence that is portrayed in the films, because one of the process by which Alex passed through is showing him a lot of violence in films. So that Kubrick was saying that the amounts of violence in the TV and in the cinema was going to create people submission, in the way that psychiatrics knows that you were desensibilization. Whenever you pass through, for instance, in Abu Ghraib or Guantanamo, Alfred, you maybe know that those prisoners were subjected to these techniques, these MK Ultra techniques, and it is with music and cinema, with which they are converted into another person.
Right, right. Now, there is going forward with Stanley Kubrick. You had mentioned his last film, which was Eyes Wide Shut, which showed a lot of the sexual practices of the Illuminati. And many people say that after he did that, Kubrick himself was assassinated. Did you go into that?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. First of all, if you watch Eyes Wide Shut, you don't understand anything about the film. There is Kubrick was a genius. He was one of the best directors from all time, and he knew perfectly how to create a film in which there is a beginning, there is a narrative, there is a climax, and there is an end. You don't get this structure in Eyes Wide Shut. There is no climax. There is a linear narrative. So that what happened is that he finished the film, but before being published in the cinema, he died, and we don't know exactly how he died. The thing is that it was Tom Cruise who made the ultimate edition of the film, so that
I see.
the final copy about Eyes Wide Shut, it's Tom Cruise author.
I see.
One of the things this is for sure an expose of the Illuminati, of a party of the Illuminati in a castle that later, a few years later, Eyes Wide Shut, it appeared that this castle was a site for this kind of parties. And we can remember some photographs of Audrey Hepburn and Salvador Dali in the 70s in a Rothschild party, in which they are dressed up very, very, very similar as what Stanley Kubrick showed in Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know if you have watched these photographs, but if you yes, already.
Yes, I have.
For the people who are not in the know, go to Google Images and write Audrey Hepburn Rothschild party, and you will see it. Okay, so that we have open-eyed party, satanic party, black mass in the the more important scene, in which Tom Cruise appears there. For me, the character of Tom Cruise is Stanley Kubrick's. In fact, it's a personification of him being involved in the Illuminati, but at the same time, as happened in The Shining, he's outside. He's inside these secret societies, but at the same time, he didn't feel inside. He was something like an infiltrated, okay?
Right.
But what I have discovered about this film is that if you remember, after the mass black mass finished, everyone, every of the girls choose a man, you know,
Right.
to have sex,
Right.
and the woman who choose Tom Cruise is in fact Nicole Kidman. If you watch it carefully, you are going to see you know, the face of Nicole Kidman. So that for me, what was cut in Ice White Sat is that, in fact, Tom Cruise is giving the Illuminati his own wife. That is something very normal in these secret societies. They use their own wives, even daughters, to give them for this sacrifice. So that this was, I think that the scene that was cut because it was very, you know, very real for the Illuminati.
Right. Right. That's a very good insight and analysis. Now, going back to your book, the Secret History of Hollywood, you go back to the beginnings of the Hollywood film industry, and you find that there are apparently secret assassinations even at the beginning of the industry. Could you talk about that?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. My source for this, because if I am sincere, if I am honest, I didn't know so much about the silent movies, but I discovered Kenneth Anger's book Hollywood Babylon. I don't know if you know anything about this Kenneth Anger, because he's a very important character in the Hollywood history. Do you know anything about him?
Well, I certainly have heard of him and have heard of his work. So could you lead us through it?
Well, Kenneth Anger is the creator, one of the creators of the gay movie, and also of the Satanic movies. He
Hmm.
was involved in the secret societies around Aleister Crowley and the Golden Dawn,
Hmm.
and he was part of the hippies aristocracy in California in the 60s. He was a very good friend of Mick Jagger, of John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, John Frankenheimer, the director, and also Roman Polanski. And
Ah.
he was, and also Charles Manson. In fact, he was the producer of a Charles Manson film that maybe we can talk about this later because it's very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
But the what I didn't know about Kenneth Anger is that he was himself a child actor. He was an actor when he was 5 years old, and he suffered sexual abuse. We are talking about this 20s, no, maybe it's in the 30s, 2030s, when Kenneth Angers was working as a child actor, but he was involved in you know, in Hollywood. He knew for sure. So that the writing of Hollywood Babylon was something like a revenge against these people who made him, you know, an outcast. So
Right.
that at that time, in the first years of the Hollywood industry, we have some big actors and actresses that died suddenly. For instance, Rodolfo Valentino, that he was a gigolo before being this macho man, no, Latin lover. We have Oliver Thomas, murderer. We have Virginia Rapp, that he was murdered by Roscoe Arbuckle. We have Barbara Lamar, Wally Reid, and Clara Bow, that was a lover of Gary Cooper. And these three were they died by drugs. Many people think, me myself, for instance, that this topic with drugs in Hollywood started in the 60s or 70s, but not. It started from the very beginning of Hollywood. That's why the Hollywood Babylon title of Kenneth Anger. He was this title. What he wanted to show is that Hollywood, in fact, was a recreation of this Babylon sect or church, if you want, in which you have your these goddess and gods that are the actors and actresses that everybody embody in their lives, their the wealthy and all the sex, all the the life they are living, but in fact they are slaves. They are slaves of this industry in which they created. Whenever they are disgusting for this elite, they put them out, and it could be by a suicide or with drugs and murdering. But we have a lot of examples. We can continue, for instance, with Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell, for instance.
Right. So also, one of the strains that has come up in some of the research that we've seen is that there are satanic circles in Hollywood, and that actors must engage in this and must, for example, we have heard must engage in satanic murders, and if they do, then they get the parts because they become initiated into the satanic cults. Is this something that you have heard?
Okay, we have the satanic ritual murder of Roman Polanski's wife in the 1969, Sharon Tate.
Right.
Sharon Tate was a daughter of a military man, and she knew Roman Polanski in his 1968 film La Danza de los Vampiros, Vampires Dance.
Right.
Obviously about vampires and Dracula. And then we have this French police Jew, Roman Polanski, making Rosemary's Baby, 1968. This is a seminal movie for the Satanics.
Right.
And this is a cool movie also. A cool movie that many people doesn't know that in fact is showing the real thing about Satanism. And there are a lot of things, many very, very interesting about this, around this film. For instance, when I watched it last year, this film, I was impressed by the obsession of the Mia Farrow's marido,
husband, yes,
husband, of in creating or having a baby in a precise data in July.
Right.
Okay, I don't know if you remember the film, but it's a young couple that moves to Manhattan to a new apartment. He is an aspirant of actor. He has not. He's not lucky, and then their neighbors creates a an spell,
right,
for him to get the work he wants. Okay.
Right.
Then they became friends. Mia Farrow, his husband, with the neighbors, and this building. It's famous because there were some magicians there living 1 century ago. Okay,
right.
And this is very important because in this building, at the entrance of this building, was murdered John Lennon.
Right.
I don't know if you knew.
Oh yes, yes. We have done specials on the John Lennon assassination. In fact, the doorman there at that house was a member of Operation 40, which was the CIA had all the Cuban exiles as
Yeah,
assassins, and
I I,
and,
I
and
watched this marvelous interview. This
yeah,
I do remember.
yeah, good.
Okay, I'm following with Rosemary's Baby. I repeat, we are in 1968. 1968. And as I told you before, I was, obsessed with the obsession of Mia Farrow's husband in having this, you know, Satan's song in a very precise data in July. So that
Right.
I started to research something happened this year, this precise day in July, and I didn't find anything special in this 1968, but I do find something very important in this precise data. I think it's a day of July, okay? But
Okay.
in the next year, in 1969, do you know what happened at the same in the same day was born the Satan son of Rosemary's Baby?
Tell me.
Well, it was this disturbs around in New York in the bar Stonewall that was the creation of the gay movement.
Aha.
In the same day in which was born this evil son of Satan's son was the day in which the gay movement was created. So that
Wow.
the son of Satan was the gay movement.
Well, that's very interesting because that evening I was I I was a lawyer in New York, and I lived in an apartment on Christopher Street. Uh, in that is, I lived in Greenwich Village, around the corner from the Stonewall.
So,
And that night, I remember it because I held a party to celebrate my passing the New York State bar exam. You know, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the party, we heard all this commotion, and people went down, and there was a big confrontation going on, which was the Stonewall. So I
uh,
I I remember that very, very clearly. So you're saying that there's a connection between Satan and the gay movement? Is that what you're saying?
what I'm saying is that the son of Satan is the gay movement,
The son of
and it's
Satan is the
not
gay.
casuality. Yes, this is
Okay,
what I say.
okay. Well,
But
you've
going further,
actually written you've actually written a whole book on that, correct?
yes, this is the my book, The Conspiracy of the Gay Movement, that
Yeah.
was prosecuted in Spain, but now already it has sold 1,300 copies. That
Now
is not bad, considering that I am completely underground, without
yeah.
any public help.
Yeah. Now, is that book available in English?
Not yet, not yet. I have a problem with the translation. I want to find a publisher, but it's for the people who knows Spanish, I recommend them because they are. I am selling a lot of copies to the USA, and
Yeah.
Mexico and Argentina and Chile.
Yeah.
The people who are in
So
the know
so
in Spanish.
so as I understand it, your premise there is that the Rockefellers, the CIA, were involved in actually birthing the gay movement.
Yeah,
Is that the basic premise?
social engineering, social engineering.
Social
Uh,
engineering, right?
Yeah, and what in fact, my latest three books that are the one about the gay movement, the next one that is called Social Engineer for Destroying Love, about gender politics and the feminism, and this about Hollywood. The three are connected because in fact they are all talking about social engineering and the power of the media to create tendencies. But
Yeah.
I am following the thing about Rosemary's Baby because we
Yeah.
have more information. We are
Yeah.
in
Sure.
1968. You know that Sharon Tate was Roman Polanski's We are in 1968. Roman Polanski became famous because of Rosemary's Baby, and he made a swinging party with a couple. Sorry, with Sharon Tate. They were the more of the more in England, and in this rock atmosphere of that time, rock and hippie atmosphere. And next year, and all the people, me myself, for instance, knows about this Charles Manson's people murdering Sharon Tate when she was pregnant. Okay, pregnant. Remember that in Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow was pregnant out of Satan. So that we have next year a party in California, in which it appeared some of the proselytes of Charles Manson, and what they have told us is that they interrupted the party without any help. But the thing is that they were invited to the party. What was happening there in Roman Polanski's mansion was a mass, a black mass, a satanic ceremony in which Roman Polanski, and I'm going to say the words properly, he offered his own son to Satan as he did in Rosemary's Baby. And it's the only explanation for this satanic ritual, that it was made out of his wife, Sharon Tate. And we know for sure that Roman Polanski is a perverted because he was prosecuted, you probably know, because of sexual abuse in a teenager, 15-year-old, in Jack Nicholson's mansion. Because all these things are connected. All these characters appeared in the life of the other, so that the moment in which all this information appeared, and it's going to appear as it's happening now in England around the Jimmy Savile topic, this
Right.
BBC crony, that he was a perverted and he obtained childs for this aristocracy, this satanic aristocracy. Well, as I am saying, it's going to happen the same thing in the USA. And I can tell you, and this is only a guess, that maybe Robin Williams' suicide is connected with this.
Aha.
How do I know? Because Robin Williams has a very, very complicated psychic soul. He was involved in John Belushi's death. Do you remember the Blues Brothers?
No, let me tell you.
But
John,
do you
no.
remember John Belushi?
No, but wait. I lived on Havenhurst at Mikasa. That was a classic. I lived in the former duplex of Cary Grant at Mikasa, which was a half a block from the Chateau Marmont. And I was in my apartment the day that John Belushi died, a half a block away. No, I'm not kidding you.
This
What?
is incredible, my friend.
Yeah, no. It's so I've been following all this stuff for a long time, and there were two significant people that were with John Belushi right before he died. Now, tell us who those two people were.
So you are in the know. Okay, the names are Robin Williams and Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
And it's very strange because at that time, we are in 1980, Robin Williams was nobody. The important one was John Belushi, that he has made in Spanish Granujas a todo ritmo, this, soul movie.
Yeah.
And of course, Robert De Niro was great. But after John Belushi's death, the career of Robin Williams, jumped into the success.
I see.
And one of the things I noticed it about Robin Williams is that he portrayed two characters in which he's the mentor of some teenagers. One
see.
of these is the indomitable Will Hunting. Will Hunting, how do you say in English?
Good Will Hunting.
Okay. And the other one, El Club de los Poetas Muertos in Spanish, the
Dead,
Club.
Dead Poets Society.
Okay. Both characters are the same, and it's very, very unusual. And the death of Robin Williams now, because this suicide. And do you remember that in this one of these films, or both, they were talking always about suicide, so that the death of Robin Williams has impacted a lot in a generation, because the character he portrayed have a lot of influence.
Right.
But there is more about Robin Williams. We have Robin Williams in a Peter Pan role in Steven Spielberg's Hook. So I'm going to tell you something, and this is for the people who are listening us now. One of the points of my book is following the career of an actor or an actress, imagining that the people who are identifying with this man or woman with the roles he's portraying. And I am going to give you an example that you are going to understand what I wanted to say. Okay, we have an icon. An icon is somebody who has a characteristics around his charm, his glamorous, his sympathy, and the people identified with this. For instance, we have, I don't know, Julia Roberts, in this case, Michael Douglas.
Right.
Okay, we have Michael Douglas, and I am going to follow his career with these success films that started in 1986, with Wall Street. Okay,
Right.
Wall Street. He's a yuppie.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas is a yuppie in the in this age of cocaine and so on.
Right.
Okay. Next year he made with Glenn Close Atracción Fatal in Spanish, that in English was
English, Fatal Attraction.
Okay, that's right. Okay, now we have this successful yuppie then being accosted but by a fan, okay, in which they are turning the roles in the other way. He's not the macho anymore.
Yeah.
But we have in 1992 we have Michael Douglas with Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct.
Right.
In which Sharon Stone is a writer, a feminist writer, bisexual, in which she tries to cut his penis. Okay?
Right.
Then we have Lorena Bobbitt a year later, in which he tries to do, he did the same with his husband.
Yeah.
Her husband, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
In 1994, we have Michael Douglas with Demi Moore, Accosted, in which Demi Moore is his boss, and he's turning the things, the roles of man and woman, and the woman convert herself into the accuser.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. So that is where Demi Moore does sexual harassment on.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have A Day of Fury. This is in 1993, in which Michael Douglas is a divorced, in which he cannot see his daughter in her birthday, and he's involved in a military contract, and he has an awful day. And the resume of this is that Michael Douglas is portraying, the decline of the macho or the masculine.
Right.
And if we follow the career of Demi Moore, we are watching the opposite thing. She starts, being successful with Ghost, in which she's a very sweetie woman that lose her husband in a very dramatic way, a very romantic film.
Yeah.
And then she starts doing this sexual harassment, telling on nail some good men and an indecent proposition, so that you are watching that the woman in this case that have identified themselves with the sweetie Demi Moore of Ghost, they are going to be uh, converted into this hard woman that are going to be the this genre politics um, social engineer that
Right.
are going to be the destroying of love. What I am trying to
Right.
explain, well, what I am trying to explain is that the characters that the people in late 20th century and this 21st century are very related with the characters the icons are portrayed in the films. And
Right.
if we go much before in the 30s and 40s with the icon of Catherine Hepburn, we are going to watch it very clear. Before I am researching the research for this book, I used to think that Catherine Hepburn's films were very successful at that time, but it was not. They were failures in box. Did
Aha.
you know it? So
No.
that what what were Catherine Hepburn's films? Sorry.
Well, the
In fact,
the
they were messages to the future. They
I
were
see.
portraying a type of woman that was going to be, multiplied or successful late in the 60s and in the 70s. And I think that whenever we watch these films, these comedies, supposedly comedies, romantic comedies that are not at all, because they are portraying couples that are struggling all the time, and quarreling. This kind of comedies, romantic comedies, are creating the images that a wife and a husband has to be all the day arguing for being in love, so that
Yeah.
even the sense of love we are feeling, it's very influenced by what we are watching in movies. And I'm going to explain it very better, because I think this is very important. When you are in a cinema, and with this big screen, loud sound, and this character, this is a virtual reality. In fact, you are watching this film and you are living this. We know for sure now, with all these researches of the MIT, the Technological Institute of Massachusetts, that whenever you are imagining something, you are creating these links between neurons. So
Right.
that, try to imagine what you are doing in films. Whenever you are inside the film, I mean that you are living what the actors are living, you are creating your reality. So that a normal person who have watched thousands of films, they have incorporated the characters, the situations they have portrayed for him, and thinking that this is for real. So that whenever, and much more, you are, as long as these actors and actresses are successful in their lives, because they have money, they have sex, they have everything, you think your unconscious thinks that if you behave in the same manner of these actors and actresses, you are going to be successful. So that you are being manipulated in an Enki Ultra style, but the films, as Stanley Kubrick's show it in A Clockwork Orange.
Right, right. So this is so that the films that come out of Hollywood, and the only ones that are allowed really to come out of Hollywood, have a large component of social engineering and brainwashing in them. That's what you're saying, correct?
For sure, for sure. And they cannot do it without these actors and actresses that are gold slaves, you know.
Right,
And
right. You know,
I,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm going to tell you. The other day we were talking about this sexual abuse thing
Yeah.
in the cinema industry. Sorry, that it's becoming more and more famous because of the quotes of Corey Haim. Corey Haim was part of the film The Goonies, and also Stand By Me with Corey Feldman, a very good friend of him, and also River Phoenix, the
Right.
disappeared River Phoenix that died mysteriously in Johnny Depp's discotheque door.
Huh.
Okay, and this Corey Haim uh, talked openly that the reason why his friend Corey Feldman died was the sexual abuse he suffered in Hollywood because of the big moguls of Hollywood. Okay, and these quotes are being confirmed by some other child actors. Okay, and I
Right.
have to say that The Goonies is a production of somebody called Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Okay, and I have more if you want. I am
Sure,
not
please. Please
saying
go ahead.
openly, but I have the codified uh, hook, Steven Spielberg version of Peter Pan.
Right.
Have you ever watched it?
Yes, I've seen it, but could you tell us more?
Okay, let's do it both all together, okay?
Okay.
Because it was, I had to finish it in the book when I watched it because it appeared in TV, so that I watched it, and this is the latest pages of my book, okay? After all this researching,
Right.
and for sure, I knew at that time these Corey Haim's quotes about sexual abuse. There is not very famous actresses in the USA, an Spanish actress is called Ana Garcia Obregón, that in the 80s, or he made a movie, she made a movie, sorry, with Bo Derek, this actress, and she was invited to a party in Steven Spielberg's house in California, okay? And when she came back, and everybody, they asked her for about Steven Spielberg personality, and what this actress replied was that Steven Spielberg was something like a Peter Pan, a
Hmm.
big child. I don't know if anybody has described him in the same manner in the USA or Canada.
Uh, no, he's sort of kind of a mythic figure here.
Yeah, well, in Spain, after that, they are always describing him as a Peter Pan. So that I remember that when I watched Hook, and then I read that he always being, he has a very deep connection with this Peter Pan theme. Okay, so that he converted the Peter Pan original story into a very personal thing, in which Robin Williams, remember Robin Williams, that
Right.
he has trained the two movies that we talked before. He's an old Peter Pan, that appeared in how do you say, was Campanilla? No,
Yeah.
this his girlfriend, his old girlfriend,
Uh-huh.
uh, that she's running an
Okay.
hospicio, okay, but
Hospice. Yeah.
hospice. But she's old. She's older than Peter Pan. Peter
Right.
Pan now is a yuppie that appeared there with his two sons, okay, and then they go to a party in which they are going to get money for the hospices, okay.
Yeah.
And in the house there is a very strange character. If you remember that when they are out this night at this party, he's of course in the house, and the two sons of Robin Williams, Peter Pan. In a moment, it appeared Captain Garfio. This Hook.
Yeah.
This Hook. Hook is the name in English.
Yeah.
Okay, and he took the two kids. Okay, out.
Yeah.
And do you remember the Hook? The Hook is the symbol of this pirate, because he's a pirate.
Yes.
So that the thing is that for me this old Peter Pan is a nemesis of Steven Spielberg. Okay,
Right.
even the way his makeup it resembles Steven Spielberg. For me is he's talking about himself. Okay.
Aha.
So that Peter Pan, Robin Williams has to return to their never-ending country, the country of nevermore country,
Right.
okay, in which there are a lot of kids.
Right.
Loose kids.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
there is a gang of them.
Yeah.
And then there are the pirates who has the kids.
Right.
Okay. Then Robin Williams, Peter Pan come back. He cannot fly anymore. He has to recover his capabilities of a child, because he has lost this illusion of flying.
Yeah.
And this is very psychoanalysis. There is a lot of psychoanalysis here.
Aha.
What are these capabilities? Well, we are going to discover what he has lost, because in the moment in which this Hook, that is Dustin Hoffman, who portrayed this character, he's going to kill the kids with his hook.
Right.
Alfred, the hook is the symbol of the sodomization.
I see.
Okay, so that what is all this Peter Pan thing about?
Right.
The the country of nevermore are the traumas of the people who have suffered sexual abuse.
It's
And
about So
and they cannot grow because of that. And my point is that Steven Spielberg was portraying himself, because for sure that in the Jewish religion, sexual abuse is so common, or much more common even that in the Christian area.
Oh, is it?
So that
in
the Jewish religion, I mean,
is it? I had not heard that.
Yes. This is in my book of the conspiracy of the gay movement. All this, the leaders of the gay movement were Jewish.
I see.
Harry Hay, Allen Ginsberg, all they were Jewish. And what it should be a topic for another interview.
Okay.
It's much more, but Hollywood is run by the Jewish.
Yes.
And the way they educated the young actors and actresses is through this. Before the interview started, I was reading much more information about Judy Garland, about what happened in the old magic set,
Right.
And this Louis B. Mayer, the owner of the Metro Goldwyn Mayer,
Yeah.
you know, was abusing sexually abusing of Judy Garland.
Aha.
And we have Judy Garland, we have Rita Hayworth, we have Marilyn Monroe, we have Jane Russell. There are a lot of gossips about Liz Taylor, Drew Barrymore. The list is unfinishable.
You mean that it's all in terms of sexual abuse, ritual sexual
Everything,
abuse?
everything, and we are not talking about men, because we have Rock Hudson, we have John Travolta, we have what I have read in the internet is that Johnny Depp himself was, the little pet of Nicolas Cage.
I see.
And I could tell you a lot of names, and there are so many information that it's undeniable. This
Right.
is, as Kenneth Anger said, this is Hollywood Babylon.
Right.
This is
Right.
the secret.
Now, one case that has keeps on coming up, which I think is very suggestive, is the alleged murder of Natalie Wood, the actress Natalie Wood.
Ah,
It, and because of the possible satanic uh, undertones there and its connection to the satanic circles, and
yes.
uh, and that was her sister is campaigning for that case to be reopened, but there are two male suspects there. One is her husband, actor Robert Wagner, but also actor Christopher Walken.
Mm,
And I have seen accounts where in the satanic circles, Christopher Walken was assigned the task of murdering Natalie Wood,
mm,
and that after he did that, uh, then he's been guaranteed parts. In other words, that's why he has all of these parts, and you keep on seeing Christopher Walken in movies, even though he's very very old, and
yes.
because the husband Wagner waited for 4 hours calling his attorney before alerting the Coast Guard when she fell off the yacht, and there were 24 bruises on her body. In other words, a lot of suspicious circumstances, but the police won't reopen the case, so it looks like he's being protected by the Satanists in the police department.
I think you are correct. I didn't have many of the information you are giving, but the archetype of Natalie Wood, that she was also a young actress, as a child actress,
Right.
is almost the same thing as all the actors, the actresses I've been talking about, and so that it fits me. It fits me. I wanted to talk. I don't want to the interview to finish without talking about Jodie Foster.
Jodie
Um,
Foster. Okay.
Jodie Foster and Brooke Shields has something in common. Both portrayed prostitutes at the age of 12 years old. Can you imagine a father or a mother that allows their daughter to do this work, Alfred? For
Well,
God's sake.
I mean, put it this way: in this day and age, in 2014, where the family has been shredded, there are 12 years old. You go to Hollywood or you go to actress school, and uh, the young people have been sexualized to an extent that
Yeah,
I
No, but
I,
we are talking about the 70s, eh?
oh yeah,
We are
yeah.
in
So
the
that,
70s.
yeah, yeah. So that's a different era.
This is a Louis Malle film, Brooke Shields,
Hmm.
and Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese Taxi Drivers,
Hmm.
in the case of Jodie Foster,
Hmm.
okay? And it's very, the character of Jodie Foster attracts me a lot because she's very clever. She's
Yeah,
almost, you know, superlative in intelligence.
yeah.
But I discovered that that she's supposedly a lesbian,
No,
and
no.
I discovered that
She is openly gay.
yeah, no, I put this word supposedly because of different reasons.
So you were just talking about Jodie Foster before we got cut off. Could you start again describing Jodie Foster, please?
Well, first of all, we have to come back to the 70s and related Jodie Foster career with Brooke Shields. Okay, both of them made films at the age of 12 in which they portrayed prostitutes. And for me, it's very unusual that a father or a mother allows a girl like this to do this work. I think it's not sane. It's completely mad for a woman so young, even for every single woman, but for a woman of 12 years old to do these characters. And I'm saying that because I know for sure that it's not per free that an actor or an actress is performing of being inside a character. When you follow the careers of all the actors, at the end, the characters creates the person, and we have the examples of Johnny Weissmuller, of Tarzan, and Bela Lugosi in Dracula, but there are a lot of examples. But let's focus on Jodie Foster. I know that you know that Jodie Foster is an openly lesbian. This is what the people know. But
Yes.
many people will be surprised to know that she's not, her real name is not Jodie. Jodie, in fact, is an acronym or a contract or a contraction.
Yeah.
Her real name is Alice. That
Alice?
Alice. And at the same time, this name Alice is very related with Alice in Wonderland and so on. Okay,
Right.
but in the NQ Ultra thing, and this is a behave that Hollywood has made, every now and then, to change the name is create an alter personality.
Yes. Yes,
If
yes.
you follow all this movie theme, you are going to see a lot of actors and actresses that they use another name, another different name, and this is very important, as I am saying, because it's creating another personality. Okay, we have this Jodie Foster that is the daughter of a cinema producer,
Hmm.
that she was a couple, she have a lesbian couple with a girl, a woman called Josephine Dominguez. Okay, and these two names, Joseph and Dominguez, were the contraction out of what Jodie Alice Foster created Jodie. So that Jodie is the Josephine Dominguez,
Okay.
Jodie. And this is very important because, okay, this Jodie Foster, that she's a very clever woman and very mature at that time for, being so young to portray this difficult character in Taxi Driver, but maybe she doesn't know, the influence this woman, her mother's girlfriend, has in her life, and after all the research that has made, with this book, putting all the pieces of the puzzle all together, I can tell you that for sure, Jodie Foster has suffered sexual abuse, the same
Okay.
as Brooke Shields.
Aha.
And how do I know? Well, it's a it's a way of living of Hollywood. But you have this girl, 12 years old, doing so good, because you have to revisit it. Taxi Driver, and she's behaving as a prostitute, a real prostitute. So where did she learn to do it? Well, her mother, as I am saying, is or was, because she died last year, was a film producer. She was involved in this all Hollywood aristocracy that, as we were talking, it's full of ceremonies and orgies and so on. So that my point is that Jodie Foster has suffered sexual abuse. I can tell you, most of the sexual abuse of these child actors and actresses are because the fathers and the mothers offered them to the producers. And this is the case of Rita Cancino, Rita Hayworth. And, I guess that Angelina Jolie has suffered the same thing, because her father is John Boyd. That is, well, this is a very never-ending story, as you are noticing.
Right, right. There's one question that I want to ask you as someone who lives in Spain and understands movies, because recently with the Israeli false flag invasion of Gaza, there was a big uproar in Hollywood, which is a department of Zionist activity. In other words, what we've been talking about is in 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 large part the promotion of the New World Order and of the protocols of the Elders of Zion through the lens of Hollywood and its brainwashing machine. And there's been a lot of discomfort among actors because some of them have sympathies with Gaza and against Israel, but if they come out publicly, they would ruin their careers. But there was a letter signed by 100 actors in Spain that caused a big commotion in Hollywood because two prominent Spanish actors, Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz, signed them. And I wondered, yourself as a very sophisticated researcher, what is your evaluation of Javier Bardem and and Penelope Cruz in this world? Because they both have been. I mean, Penelope Cruz was involved with Tom Cruise, and Javier Bardem has done uh, A-list movies with the Coen brothers. What do you
Yeah.
know about these two?
Well, first of all, they are stupid. Second thing, they are Enki Ultra.
Oh, they
I
are.
know, I know all the career of Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem, because they are more or less the same age as me, and I can tell you that Penelope Cruz started as a teenager, as a, well, like Natalie Wood. She was 15 years old when she appeared in a TV show. Then she appeared in a video clip of a pop band in Spain. She fell in love when she was 15 with the lead singer of this group, Mecano. She appeared nude in sexual scenes when she was 17 in a French film. Okay, and before even have this majority of age, she did a film with Javier Bardem precisely, with very explicit scenes. Okay, and Javier Bardem's then she moved. Penelope Cruz moved to Hollywood, and first thing she did was being the couple of Tom Cruise that supposedly he is gay. So then we have Penelope Cruz with this Mexican actress Selma Hayek in a film paid by the Mexican narcos. And I have a news that you can discover in the internet in which she slept in this rancho of one of the biggest narcos, Mexican narcos. So that there is a dark life in, it's not Penelope Cruz, are all these actresses that sometimes we are going to discover what they really are. And Javier Bardem's career, he's the son of a very important actress, Spain actress Pilar Bardem, and his uncle is also a director, so he comes from the cinema aristocracy, Spanish cinema aristocracy, and he and as many other Spanish actors, he started his career with a guy character in a film. That is the same way he started his career in the Antonio Banderas. So that for me, this couple is made by by this aristocracy, because one of the the more radical things I am saying, but not in open words, is that even the marriages of the actors and actresses are manipulated because of the films. I think that they choose the actors and the actresses for each one of the films, trying to engage them. Okay, and now we have this this marvelous couple of these successful actors, Spanish actors, that after being in Hollywood, both of them, they commit the stupid thing of signing and this manifesto that is very logical for any honest human being. But for a person who was in Hollywood, it's very stupid to say that, because it's not knowing that the Jewish run Hollywood. So that for me, I was very pleased of what has happened, because it's the proof that what I am saying in the book is true. You are not allowed, an actor or an actress, even if he is she is so famous as Javier Bardem or Penelope Cruz, you cannot say what you want. And this is what I am trying to explain since the beginning of the interview. They are gold slaves. They have everything, but they have no freedom. They cannot. You can take all the drugs you want. You can be so promiscuous, but don't touch the real power, because if you touch the real power, you are going to suffer it. And Marlon Brando knows perfectly about what I am talking about.
Right, right. With every sentence, like you toss something out like Marlon Brando knows perfectly well what I'm talking about, that, this interview could just go on and on and on and on. I I know that you have a website which is rafapal.com, which people in the Spanish speaking world go to find out what's really happening in the news, and you're recognized globally as a real truther journalist. Um, uh, and of course, English speaking people can just go there and use Google Translate and get a good idea of what you're saying. Do you publish anywhere in English?
Well, not really.
Uh
I
huh.
don't have time enough.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that those are very special moments for the people in the USA and Canada also.
Yeah.
We know that you are suffering a lot from, well, everybody is suffering in the planet. Maybe in
Right.
the USA more because of the complete paranoia that Hollywood it's very related with. But I don't know. Maybe there are a lot of people who don't know that we are in the verge of a radical change of the monetary system, and now the key thing is Baghdad, is Iraq. I recommend you Americans to follow the Iraqi dinar thing with websites such as Nesara News, blogspot.com, or Dinar Recaps, in which the white knights that are the true patriots inside the intelligence and the military of the USA are explaining latest steps to uh, put the Iraqi dinar, into the gold pattern. Okay, and this is very related with the change itself of the dollar, the Federal Reserve notes, into the recovery of the Treasury, the USA Treasury, as the one who is going to put the dollar into the market, related with gold. So that my latest news are saying that we are ready. We need a new government in Iraq. We have already a prime minister, but we need the whole cabinet. They are going to pass a law that reforms their monetary system in alliance with their central banks, and they are going to sell their oil with gold, in exchange of gold, and every currency around the world is going to change into this gold pattern, and this will be the real entry to the golden age of the humankind. And all these prophecies, these Maya's prophecies that we were reading about these latest years, they are going to be reality in the moment in which this new monetary system, that is not going to be manipulated or controlled by the Zionists. This is the very important thing. There is a lot of gold hidden in different places around the globe, that these all Asian aristocracies that Ben Fulford was talking about these latest years, they are going to donate this for all the countries that in fact are the real owners. It's not just a gift. This gold is what this Zionist has stolen the humankind, and now this gold is going to come back to the real owners, that are you and me and all human beings. So that in a couple of months or maybe more, I don't know exactly, we are going to have an stable currency all over the world, and equally, in which there is not going to be inflation, and all these secret technologies at the same time will be liberated, and the latest thing will be, the openly talks about extraterrestrials, because after all this situation was becomes clear, the governments of the whole planet will openly say that the extraterrestrials are real, and it will start the first contact.
Well, thank you. And thank you very much for taking this time. I know that our broadcast has been very much interrupted by parties that don't want it to go forward.
Mm.
And we look forward to having you on again. You have written a number of books that bring up what are called uncomfortable truths. And
Mm.
we look forward to bringing those messages to the English speaking publics. So
Okay.
thank you very much, Rafael
I'm sorry
Palacios.
for the video thing, but well, I appreciate so much your waiting for for this Skype connection.
Oh,
And
good.
I can tell you that me myself, after 12 years waiting for this moment, and now I feel very optimistic,
Oh, good.
and so optimistic I am, that I am starting to think about what kind of
Uh,
of politics we are going to have. My next book is going to be titled as Principles for the New World. I have
Wonderful.
a series of videos, 21 videos, talking about the concepts, the real concepts
Excellent.
about truth, freedom,
Excellent.
justice, manipulation, because my point is that we all has been have been so contaminated by this awful government, this real satanic era that we have to pass through. That now we have to go deep and deep and deep and deep and deep and deep to the very simple things, to the principles that are the roots of every civilization. We are on the verge, as I said before, of the beginning of a new civilization. And as when you build a home, you build a building, the more important thing is the base. And for a civilization, we need to have a very deep roots in what's wrong and is what is good.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rafa.
So I'm very pleased to talk with you, and my latest words, mucho ánimo para los norteamericanos.
He's saying a lot of energy.
Have faith, because we are very close to the end, and this paranoia and these awful times are going to end.
Excellent.
We know for sure.
Very, very good. We've been with Rafael Palacios, known as Rafapal, who's a prominent truth journalist in Spain, well known in Europe and throughout the Spanish-speaking world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Alfred, sorry. If anybody wants to buy my book, I'm sorry it's only in Spanish, but there are some people who knows Spanish in the USA and Canada. They can write to me to periódico at rafapal.com. Here I can sell the book for a good price.
Oh, good, good. And we'll put that link at the end of this video. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alfred.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.